Welcome to Token Topics and Happy New Year. Stellar, XLM, Stronghold, and sustainability are the topics of this video. We're going to check out a special document that explains the importance of sustainability moving forward in blockchain, and it actually mentions Stellar by name in this document. So that gives us an idea of where the world is headed, and proof of work could be in jeopardy. You're not going to want to miss this video. We're also going to look into Stronghold and a special New Year's message. So do please hit the like, share, and subscribe. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in. Subscribe now to Token Topics for a chance to win a free hardware wallet. The event started December 20th for new subscribers only. So if you're a new subscriber, all you simply have to do is fill out the form in the description below. The contest details are written on the form. The contest will run until we've reached 18,000 subscribers. To be even and fair, one lucky winner will be randomly picked out of every 500 new subscribers, meaning it doesn't matter what number subscriber you are, you have a chance to win. The description. Make sure you read through it. All you simply have to do is fill out your email, your YouTube handle, and YouTube name. That's it. To become extremely wealthy, it's important to be an early investor. That's the whole idea, is to be in before the rest of the world knows about it, before the money floods in. This is posted by the Tokenizer. The third most popular tokenization article this year was a report from Boston and ADDX, projecting that asset tokenization space to grow into a $16.1 trillion business by 2030, driven by demand from investors for greater access to private markets. Now, this reminds me of before the internet. Of course, not everybody jumped on board right away, but later on, or as time went on, you started to see more and more computers in people's homes, more and more people starting to access the internet. Well, it's the same thing with this. The more people that are going to jump on board, the more access to people being able to invest into it. So patience pays off. And just to give people an idea of how big of a growth that is, that's 50 times the current size of the crypto market right now. And the particular projects that are going to be vital, that have true utility, the ones that I like to talk about in this channel, those are the ones that are going to shine. Not only the tokenization of assets, but also fractionalization. Think of this, that people can participate just by owning a fraction of a share of assets, which lowers the barrier to investment in private markets, because maybe not everybody has all that money. Lowers the barrier, it allows more people to participate and to also offer more of a variety. Maybe they don't want to just put all their money into one project or one token. It states here that assets being fractionalized and tokenized on platforms such as ADDX can reduce the minimum investment sizes from millions of dollars to just thousands of dollars, so more people can participate. Stellar is a sustainability leader in the blockchain space. They're really setting a standard, along with a few others that are talked about on this channel. The XDC network, Ripple, of course, all great sustainable blockchain projects. But when it comes to small to medium-sized enterprises, remember that Stellar was main focus was for retail and personal transactions. When it comes to regular retail, Stellar's going to be a leader in the blockchain space with sustainability. This is posted by Norbert, Tokyo FinTech. He's a Tokyo FinTech founder. He's also ex-Goldman Barclays MD. This is from the OECD. OCDE comes this report from the environmental impact of digital assets and crypto asset mining and DLT consensus mechanisms such as Stellar, XLM. So we're going to dive into this article, and it actually mentions Stellar by name, which is good news considering that this agency has reach to 38 different countries, and it was founded in 1961. So somebody might ask, well, what's the significance of the OECD? And as I stated, they've been around since the early 60s, and an organization for economic cooperation and development, enabling all these businesses around the world in order for them to harmonize and work together according to rule sets and guidelines. Think of it as an agency to make everybody's life easier that are conducting business with each other. It makes it easier. So it states here in this PDF document that digital assets are becoming increasingly important for financial markets with profound implications for market integrity. The negative environmental impact of the infrastructure supporting some DLT technologies such as proof of work, consensus mechanism, and associated crypto asset mining underpinning the Bitcoin call for policy consideration and potential action. Wow, those are some bold words right there towards proof of work. Wow, the importance of this debate is increasing, and as we are witnessing institutional and crypto assets such as Bitcoin that are becoming mainstream. Now, think about the proof of work and all the energy consumption, and even though Ethereum did change, proof of stake still is nothing compared to blockchains such as Stellar, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But even proof of work, for it to scale at the size of what the planet, everybody on the planet needs to use for transactions, the energy consumption would be out of this world. So it doesn't even make sense. So of course it's being called to action now, and that's for good reason. So of course they want to be environmentally friendly. That's why these agencies making sure that everybody's on par. So this report right here that we're going through examines the environmental impact of digital assets, focusing on crypto assets and consensus mechanism of distributed ledger technologies. So it's a very long PDF file, but I'm going to go to some good parts. This article talks about right here, this section, about alternative consensus mechanisms to proof of work. So proof of stake and other alternative consensus mechanisms. Now proof of stake's a lot better, don't get me wrong. And they are going to have their place, especially over proof of work. So it continues here. So proof of stake and other alternative consensus mechanisms to proof of work do not have the same environmental impact. Most recently, the Ethereum blockchain, which is the second largest crypto asset, or Ether, is base transition to proof of stake through a process known as the merge. Other important blockchains utilizing the proof of stake mechanism include Cardano, ADA, Solana, Algorand, Tezos, while others, right here, Stellar, are focused mechanisms relying on the agreement of trusted nodes. So right there, when it comes to payments for enterprise use case and banks sending transactions, Stellar is going to be a hot choice, especially for private use too. Now, they didn't mention Ripple, but Ripple's for enterprise. They already have all their partnerships set. We're talking about small, medium-sized SMEs. We're talking about retail remittances. So again, going back to this paragraph right here, this body for this article plans to have a coordination attempt, and it's required at the cross-border level in the absence of such cross-border coordination. So they're trying to coordinate in order to set guidelines and standards of these DLTs. Stellar is a leading choice around the world to team up with sustainability goals. In fact, in 2018, Poseidon teamed up with Stellar. Poseidon chose Stellar as its blockchain partner because it believes it's the only platform which offers scalability in line with Poseidon's values. Now, keep in mind, this is before the smart contract capability came along for Stellar XLM. Continuing here, so compared to the vast majority of other blockchain platforms, you can see here the energy of consumption of Stellar versus even Visa. It even beats Visa. And it blows Ethereum and Bitcoin away. There's not even a comparison. It even beats IOTA, which is a ISO 222 crypto. And as you can see, Stellar is 0.00003 kilowatts hours per transaction. That's minute compared to other blockchains. We were just comparing proof of work blockchains compared to proof of stake blockchains. Now, Stellar uses proof of agreement. It's a completely different consensus mechanism, and it's what sets it apart from other blockchains. Proof of work takes a lot of energy, and it's just as I stated before, proof of stake, it still uses energy, but not nearly as much. But proof of agreement is, I believe, the perfect consensus. It really hardly uses any energy. There's no cost, and it's perfect for payments. One of the companies that is utilizing the Stellar protocol is Stronghold. They're using Stronghold SHX token, and their stablecoin is built on the Stellar blockchain. And they are also using IBM WorldWire, which is pretty impressive. So let's go ahead and hear what the co-founder says about proof of work versus proof of stake.
We talked about blockchain consensus mechanisms and how they're used to validate crypto transactions. The two most common are proof of work and proof of stake, and I'll describe them in more detail now. Proof of work was the first consensus mechanism. When you hear about the stereotypical image of Bitcoin miners with garages full of computers, that's what they're up to. They need all that computing power to complete this process. Yes, their end goal is to get Bitcoin, but they're also performing an essential task for the network. The process goes something like this. You record your transaction. Miners around the globe have computers racing to finish an arbitrary math puzzle. The first to solve it gets to validate the transactions that occurred since the last block. They broadcast the updated information to the network, and then they are rewarded with some Bitcoin. All that computational power uses a lot of electrical power. For instance, the Bitcoin network uses about 128 terawatt hours annually. That's about as much as Norway. So blockchain developers started looking for less carbon-intensive mechanisms for consensus, which led to alternatives, including proof of stake. The algorithm for this mechanism decides who gets to validate transactions based on how much cryptocurrency a participant has set aside for the chance to validate a block of transactions. So basically, I still want the crypto reward, but instead of using up lots of computational power, I'm locking up some of my coins. For most network participants who don't have massive amounts of a cryptocurrency, competing in a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism means contributing to a staking pool. They are pooling their staked coins in order to have a stake that's large enough to get a validation responsibility. In traditional finance, we normally think of a savings account as a very low risk and low yield way of growing your money. You could think of staking almost like a high risk, high yield alternative. Another bigger disadvantage of proof of work has been the high cost of consensus that, in turn, results in high transaction fees. Many of the alternate forms of consensus address both of those issues. Here at Stronghold, we definitely care about minimizing our environmental impact, and low fees are especially important for our mission of expanding access. So we decided to build our SHX token on the Stellar network, which uses the Stellar Consensus Protocol. This mechanism relies on participants to choose a list of trusted parties who vote on acceptable transactions for each block. In crypto speak, it's a federated Byzantine agreement implementation, except much easier to say. In all seriousness, decisions about consensus mechanisms have a profound importance, both in terms of minimizing environmental impact and broadening financial inclusion. With Stronghold Capital, our ecosystem fund, we're supporting innovators who are envisioning the future of how we achieve these goals.
So for those who are holding SH tokens or thinking about investing in SH tokens, it's a reward token. So businesses that are using Stronghold, when they conduct transactions, they're given options and rewards. One of them is the SHX token. Not only is it a reward token, but it's open to the public for investors to participate. The more people that use Stronghold, the ecosystem grows. The more participants to participate with the SHX token could increase the value of the token. Well, everyone, I hope you all have a great new year. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. I hope it brings blessings and all your dreams and wishes and your goals come true.